It's been a few months since the release of the demo for RoadCraft, which dropped and then shortly later concluded, leaving us to our thoughts. During that time, I put in some work to digest and to formulate an opinion as a consumer. I thought my views would change quite a bit from playing the demo to the actual live full game. But oddly, I can say that my stance on it remains almost unchanged. To preface this presentation, I am going to somewhat reference this video's points and also cover a few things that weren't disclosed on the demo. Not to point you to another video, but the things I liked and disliked largely remain the same, with some of those dislikes not feeling as if they mattered as much anymore. I'm going to flash those 10 likes and dislikes, or pros and cons if you will, and talk about some new things we've learned with the full live game release here on the 20th. I have thousands of hours playing Saber's previous titles, making informational videos to help players, been a speedrun record holder, and also a part-time streamer. And with that experience, I'll be 100% real and honest on if I believe RoadCraft is worth your time and your money. Jumping right in here with the first thing we learned on live release that wasn't shown in the demo, you as a player are a company which you name, choose your logo, and your color scheme. Next, you have a level up system similar to that of SnowRunner with monetary currency to purchase new equipment. Next up, you have a garage and a place to buy new vehicles pending prerequisites which range from mission completions or driver/company levels. There are also ways to upgrade current vehicles as well, from the base rusty models to their upgraded versions. Speaking on vehicles, some in your possession cannot be sold at all. Also, you have the option to retain vehicles to move to other biomes or scenarios, which is also a familiar feature that was presented in SnowRunner. Moving on here to number 4, there are over 40 vehicles in the game and they are broken down into classes. Scouts, special equipment, roadworks, cargo, logging, and cranes are the 6 classes that are currently in game. In RoadCraft, each fit into their own role as a specialization, working a lot of times together to support the mission. I really like this concept rather than a one truck doing the vast percentage of all roles in the game. Vehicles have more value because they are an integral part of an operation as a whole. Continuing on the subject of vehicles, there are DLCs to purchase, and one thing I enjoy about this, the purchasable DLCs are not free and readily available in your garage. You're probably wondering, why is that a good thing? Well, new players that buy DLCs can probably feel a tad overwhelmed, especially when trying to figure out the game initially. Secondly, it can trivialize the experience and progression similar to that of what happened in SnowRunner, if I may be just so blunt to say. My final thought on this matter would be that money is actually very easy to come by, and in RoadCraft it's not going to crush you, especially in the starting biomes. On the contrary, I do have to say the DLC dump truck is rather unique, being that it can either be a sand quarry refilling point for other trucks at any location on the map, or just a higher capacity dump truck for those heavy operations that require a lot of sand. And this furthers my previous point on trucks being specialized and valuable. Moving on to our next point, map progression is rather unique it seems. A map completion doesn't necessarily take you to another biome. The following campaign is actually or could be a continuation of the same map, of which you see the work you've already done on your prior campaign with more objectives, and the current map's operation expands to new areas. Those map selections, however, seem to have these little split-offs rather than a single track progress, and this gives players options to tackle different campaigns than the next player. The first 2 campaigns are actually just a continuation of themselves, but as you progress into new maps, they are actually different biomes and they are full maps in themselves. During the demo, the community was a little bit divided on the use of AI and convoys moving materials to different forward bases or places of interest. However, I really like how they've been brought in. They are ways to generate money and move materials across maps without having to manually take multiple trips and do it yourself. This allows you to press forward, reducing the back and forth you would have to do. Could you still go get those materials yourself? Absolutely, and you can do that manually. I must remind you that these AI routes need to be properly hardened with either sand or a full pavement road, and plotted correctly for these routes to run smoothly. I have found that after a convoy runs down an unpaved route, After a few trips, the road gets torn up and the convoy gets stuck, and this will require your attention to keep those convoy AI routes moving. Another interesting detail is you have mobile recovery units for recovery tokens or gas tanks that you have to pay to recover to this field service vehicle. And lastly, due to having multiple convoy routes running in the map, you will have in-game traffic. AI was also used to build roads where the game allows, and you assign vehicles to complete this mission as an oversight. This was shown in the demo as well. Again, you can manually do this yourself, which was also shown in the demo. But after you build so many roads, which you will be doing a lot of, delegating this and focusing on another mission at hand that needs your attention is a nice touch. Continuing forward here with things we learned about RoadCraft, these next two I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to lie, they aren't so good. And to be quite forward, there is only one very, very big critique I have, and the second one I hinted at in the intro hasn't really been much of a big deal to me now that live release has been played and I have a little bit more time in the game. The first one, however, is crane controls are something that are going to absolutely just take time to get used to. Vehicle cranes and other crane platforms have a unique unstandardized control, and there are multiple crane platforms to control. We knew about the complexity of crane controls in the demo, but more platforms have been added, and this makes it just a little bit harder to remember them all. This is my biggest critique and annoyance, but I did get used to them and I just pressed forward. During my demo review, I mentioned how I thought the lack of fuel management, gearbox, and overall controls were a downside, but I found myself not missing it as much as I thought. The developer has spun the idea of adding part or all those things later. Honestly, the amount of management with convoys, maintaining those routes, coordinating current operations, planning and logistical movement with transport vehicles will require a lot of your attention. If fuel is added later, this could probably add an element to the game that might make it feel a little bit grindy. For SnowRunner, fuel management is a huge immersive element because it's solely an off-road driving game. RoadCraft is more of a construction simcade that's more of a top-down management perspective. I've played hard mode in SnowRunner for thousands of hours, made videos and walkthroughs on fuel management, so trust me, I get it. Overall, that downside hasn't broke my enjoyment of this title. If it's added later as an alternate mode, I'm okay with those changes as well, and that could be coming down the pipe. So in conclusion, something I've come to understand of this YouTube journey I've been on for the last 4 years is when I deep dive into a game, which I have done for thousands of hours, I noticed that my critiques tend to arise. I think we can all relate to that. If you've put in time and effort into something you really, really enjoy, you start to critique it a little bit more. There might be something you like added, changed, or removed, but I've learned that if I focus continually on my criticism, my enjoyment tends to diminish. I've done this on past titles. Although I really do enjoy Saber's past titles, if you ask me things that I would change about something like SnowRunner, the first of many critiques I would say is its overall length. It takes hundreds of hours, or even up to 1,000 hours, to just complete one playthrough. I would rather have a game that I could complete in a fraction of that time and have multiple replays with different scenarios or self-imposed custom campaigns with co-op involved. This is my hope for RoadCraft with their co-op system and other things mentioned in this review and my other review as well. I bring you this review from a perspective of a fellow consumer wondering if this title is worth my investment of my time and my money. While these thoughts are purely subjective takes, and you may disagree or agree with them, I hope you understand that these takes are honest and genuine. So, should you buy RoadCraft? Absolutely. The ability to progress with friends, relax, rebuild, reshape your environment in your own unique way with a little bit of off-roading involved are the reason I'm going to purchase it and play this title on and off stream. Hopefully, though, I can play this multiple times pending length. In closing, RoadCraft might not be the next runner game in the series, but it still has elements of off-roading in it, with some very interesting heavy machinery to control and rebuild the biomes presented. This game could be one to start a legacy as we move forward with expectation to the next official runner game. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video and learned a few things along the way as well. So until next time, y'all, God bless and stay upright.